Overall, our group had very little knowledge of homeownership or construction experience, which made it very difficult to accomplish tasks that the builder expected us to know. Our Habitat for Humanity project dealt with finishing touches, meaning we were doing insulation work, sawing, nailing, cleaning, and many other small projects. One of the leadership techniques used by our group during this part of the process was delegation. We talked as a team and figured out each other's strong and weak areas so we could do all the tasks we felt comfortable with. For instance, Dylan knew how to do insulation work, so he insulated plumbing in the basement, and Chris knew how to do nailing and sawing, so he worked on some trim for the steps. This made it much easier to get work done while still learning along the way. The second leadership technique that was used in our limited experience was to ask many questions. This was especially helpful if any one of us was struggling with the project we were assigned to, but also came in handy when relating to finding out more about Habitat for Humanity and its role in the community. Ashley did a great job of asking Becca, an employee with Habitat, many questions at the start of our day that gave us insight into why we were doing the work we were doing and how the nonprofit impacts families in West Michigan. We all asked many questions as we ran into issues. For example, when Darren was laying down the protective plastic wrap on the carpet and didn't know the exact process, Bill, the Habitat for Humanity builder, was right there to answer his questions and keep the process moving. The third leadership technique used to manage our lack of experience in this type of work was collaborating with each other to brainstorm ideas and make something work. An example of this was when Darren was trying to drill in brackets for some shelving in the pantry and was having difficulty because the shelf was already placed. By collaborating with Chris and Bill, we were able to get the shelf out of the way and drill in the bracket without causing any damage. Another example of this was when we were trying to find the tools in the enclosed Habitat for Humanity trailer. This was difficult for us as we didn't know what certain tools were called or where they were located, but as a team we were able to find them. As for communication, this was probably our biggest struggle when it came to the volunteer project. Not only did we work with a diverse group that is very busy, but we also ran into many issues along the way. The first leadership technique that fits our communication struggles would be perseverance. This is evidence when you look at our discussion board and see that we almost didn't end up volunteering at all. We tried Gilda's Laugh Fest, Feeding America, and finally ended up with Habitat for Humanity. This was due to a few issues that arose during the semester. Darren had a death in the family which ruled out Laugh Fest as he was out of the state. Ashley couldn't volunteer at Feeding America because they only had openings during the week and her new job wouldn't allow for that. It took a lot of perseverance from our whole group to finally get something scheduled and make it to the event, especially on the day of an ice storm. The next leadership technique that works for our communication trouble we encountered would be patience with one another and the Habitat for Humanity members we met. We found out partway through our volunteering that Saturday they were canceling the rest of the day because of the ice storm. We had to communicate with our team leader and builder and also with Becca to see how the luncheon was going to work and if we would be able to get our full 5 hours of volunteer work. It was a waiting game and a back and forth effort to finally get the volunteer completion letter that we needed for this project. Also, we had to be very patient with one another as it seemed that issue after issue kept popping up. The last leadership technique that we applied when dealing with communication problems during the volunteer project was leveraging many different communication channels. We emailed each other through Blackboard, posted on the group discussion board, started a group text back and forth, and contacted Habitat for Humanity through email to schedule the event and make sure it wasn't canceled due to inclement weather. For example, we have been emailing each other to keep the entire group posted on the progress of the paper and PowerPoint, and we use the discussion board mainly to talk about our plans for scheduling the volunteer opportunity, while we use the text messaging when something needed to be seen sooner rather than later. The third and final problem we focused on for this project was the lack of overall volunteers at our site. We expected to have more than just our group from Ferris helping out that Saturday, but due to the time of year and the ice storm that was forecasted for that day, we were the only ones that showed up other than the builder and a man that was soon to be Habitat homeowner trying to get his volunteer hours. Considering this, the main leadership technique that we set for ourselves was setting reasonable and achievable goals. We knew that we had to at least volunteer for 5 hours, but not having many people and having a lot of work left meant that we needed to make a list and prioritize goals as to not get overwhelmed. For example, we started with some easier tasks like Ashley cleaning windows or Darren putting parts on the stove. The second leadership technique we employed considering the shortage of workers was time management. While we did take one 10-minute break, we worked hard throughout the entire time we were on the site to ensure that we were pulling our weight and making a difference. We planned out when we would need to clean up to get ready for the luncheon and also broke down each goal into an estimated time it would take to complete. In the overall scope of the project, we broke down parts so that each person has a role, which helps make the process quicker and more efficient. Having only just over a week from our volunteer date to the date the project is due means that we have put strong time management skills in place to get the project done on time. The last technique that helped us when dealing with low turnout was to lower our expectations. While it would have been amazing to get everything finished on the house for the family that was excited to be moving in, we knew that with only 6 of us in all, there was no possible way we could accomplish everything. With less volunteers, we had less manpower, which also means less knowledge and experience. We had to look at the list of things to get done and figure that we could accomplish maybe half of the items. It may seem like a bad thing to lower expectations, but keeping your expectations too high can set you up for failure and disappointment. We were all sad when the volunteer work was cut short by the ice storm, but just had to lower our expectations and be happy with what we did accomplish instead of getting upset about it.